Hi everyone, this is the Key Stage 3 Life Skills lesson, and today we're going to be talking about digital literacy. So first of all, we need to think, what do we mean by digital literacy? So literacy is your reading, your writing, your grammar, but digital literacy is how we use information communication technology, so ICT, to find, evaluate, create and communicate information. So finding, searching, evaluating, deciding if what you found is useful, relevant, creating, so making stuff, and communicating, sharing it with people. So we're not just talking about the technical skills, so what devices can you use and how do you use them, but we're thinking about the cognitive skills, so the way that you actually work with the devices that you have. So the principles of digital literacy, and there are actually 8 of these, but I am just going to focus on the first 4 for this lesson. We need to have some general knowledge. So we need to know about the basics of digital devices. What are they and how do they work? Then we need to know their use in everyday life. So how do you use them and what would be the best one for a certain job? Then how to use them for work and creative expression. So if I give you a task to do, if I ask you to write an email, what device would you use? If I asked you to create an image, what device would you use? And then how to communicate and collaborate. So how to work together. At the moment, some of you aren't in school and I'm able to produce this lesson and communicate with you. I would love for us to be able to collaborate and you to be able to send work back that we can then talk about next time. So that would be fantastic. But we have got the technology, we just need to learn to use it properly. So the first thing I want you to do, and I want you to pause the video in a second, give you 5 minutes. In your exercise book, I want you to write a list of all the devices in your house that connect to the internet. So I want you to pause here and write that down. You've got 5 minutes. Okay, so looking at your list of devices, I want you to see on that list, and when I say devices, you might think I just mean phones and tablets, but I actually mean, does your television, is that linked to the internet? In my house now, we have speakers that are linked to the internet. Somehow even our light switches are linked to the internet as well. So I can ask Siri now to turn my lights off. I want you to think, what is your preferred device for certain jobs? So again, in your books, please, watching TV. And what I'm getting at here is that it might be different for everybody. So our TV is in the lounge. We watch TV all together. My kids might sometimes want to watch TV on a handheld device. They might want to watch TV on an iPad and go elsewhere. But generally, for me, my preferred device is the television. So I want you to write down what your preferred device is for watching TV, chatting with friends, speaking to family, playing games, looking up information. So if I ask you a question and I wanted you to Google it, what device would you use to do that? Listening to music. And again, I want you to pause the video here for 5 minutes while you write those down. Okay, if you're back with us, great. So, talking about collaborating and communicating, obviously I'm of a very different generation to you, and the way I use devices is sort of rooted in what was around when I was a kid. So I will use them very, very differently to you. So for example, when I watch TV, I watch a television screen on the wall. When I chat with my friends, and again, remember I am old, but I'm actually generally using WhatsApp to chat with my friends, and that's what we do. We message each other. Speaking to family, it would have been pre-lockdown, I would have phoned them. So I would have used my phone, my mobile phone, to phone them. But because of lockdown and because my parents are quite old and isolating themselves and I have young children, I've actually switched now. So when I speak to my family now, I FaceTime them so they can see my kids. So that's a big change in the way I communicate, particularly with my mum and dad, but also my sister and her kids. Playing games. So again, I don't know what you've written down for playing games, but you'll be horrified to know that I play a very few games on my phone. Generally, I'm very sad to say it's crosswords on my phone. That's about all I do. But I think your experience of playing games online would be very, very different to that. Looking up information, and you've seen I tend to do this in lessons. I have a laptop that is internet connected, but if you ask me a question and I want to know the answer quickly, my habit is to go to my pocket, get my phone out and Google it, and that's what I do. So that's how I look for information. And listening to music, again, I have my phone. I very rarely listen to music coming out of my phone the way you guys would, but I would connect my phone to some speakers or to some headphones and listen to music that way. So the next thing I want you to think about is how you keep safe using these devices. So we've got advice here for phones and tablets specifically. But think about, do you need your Bluetooth on? Are you opening yourself up to contact with people that you don't know and that you don't want to be able to contact you? Same with GPS. Lots of apps share your GPS location. You don't necessarily want that. That's not a good thing that people know where you are. Sometimes you might want that. You might want your family to be able to find out where you are for safety reasons, but you don't want strangers knowing where you are. It's advised not to allow devices to connect automatically to public Wi-Fi, and to make sure you've got some kind of way of controlling in-app purchases so you're not paying for things and not realising. If you use Android devices, you need to protect against viruses and reduce the risk of malware and spyware. Making sure your operating systems are all up to date and you've got all the security features in place. Backing up your music, your photos, your videos and your data regularly. Checking that it's all saved somewhere. If you have wearable devices, you need to make sure that you understand how they're connecting with the Bluetooth and that is all completely under your control. And then thinking about where you leave your device when it's not in use. Is it safe? Can anyone else access it? Does the passcode work effectively? Does anybody know your passcode? Please don't share that with anyone. And then when you're online, you shouldn't be sharing information about yourself. You should be changing your username on things so people can't identify you and find you. And you should only be sharing information like on your personal challenges if you've got an exercise app with people that you trust. You don't want to share any information you don't need to with strangers. So what would we do if someone was on a device too much? So there's loads of information here. What I want you to do is I want you to pause it and read it through yourself. But I want you to pick 3 things. I want you to pick 3 things that you could say would be a sign that someone is spending too long on their phone. So have a read through the information and pick the 3 things, maybe the 3 things that you recognise in yourself that you know are sometimes an issue. And then 3 things that are realistic ways you could ensure that someone got control of their device use. So again, read through all the information, 3 things that would allow you to control and try and make them realistic, but cut down on your device use. So pause the video now, have a read of the slide and pick out 6 things. And finally, we're going to bring all that information together. So looking at the information you have in your book and the information that we've talked about on the slides, I want you to think about how we would tell younger pupils about the safe use of devices. So we could talk about overuse, we could talk about how to keep yourselves physically and digitally safe. I'm going to let you choose. I'm going to go back to the first slide now and talk about the different ways we use devices to share information and communicate with each other. You could make a video of yourself telling me the answers or telling me how younger people could keep themselves safe. You could design a poster and take a screenshot of it and send it to me. You could create your own PowerPoint lesson on what we've learned today. You could create a leaflet and again share that with me, or you could just make notes and share that with me as well. And I think it'd be really interesting to see how many different ways I get that information sent back to me. So what you're going to do is use everything you've learned today to tell younger pupils about how to use devices safely, and I want you to do that in your preferred way. So however you feel comfortable, share that information with me. I look forward to seeing your work and hopefully see you all soon.